Hello everybody and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am the Outback Owl.
I'm hot for justice.
I'm Chibi Noob.
I'm NV Jitters.
I'm CheerandCosplay. Oh,
And that's
I'm
it.
the last one. I don't know why I said it like that.
Yeah, you
And
get
I'm
used to it
CheerandCosplay.
sometimes. People, there were others who did that a couple times here and there. So, Anime Yay or Nay. Are we Anime Yay or Nay anymore? Because I'm trying to remember the last anime we actually watched.
I don't know. I think this is just the Outback Owl's movie review channel.
We'll workshop some names, but yeah. Been an interesting year so far. Shonen Showdown was this year, right?
Yes.
surprisingly.
Okay, that was quite a bit. So I'm gonna say that we watched quite a lot of anime, despite the fact that we took a couple of weeks here and there at the end to explore some other things. Which is no different this week, because we're doing the ultimate Christmas movie, Die Hard. Love this movie. This was on the list of movies that some of you had not seen yet, and I was like, I can't make references to you people. So,
Nope.
who's seen it before and who's having their first time?
This is my first time.
Aha.
First.
Oh.
First time.
Oh my god.
I've seen it before.
Oh, we got another veteran.
I mean, it makes sense. You also majored in film.
That's fair.
I'm not sure I saw it before I dropped out of college, though. But I have
I definitely did.
seen it the last few Christmases in a row.
Yep. So, this is one of the classic action films of all time, and was more or less like copied subsequent years after 1980, whenever it came out, and they were making it's Die Hard, but this, it's Die Hard, but that. It's always like Die Hard was like the thing in the tower. Well, now we're gonna do Die Hard on a plane, or Die Hard on a bus, or Die Hard in space, or whatever else. Actually, some of them were not bad. Die Hard on a bus was Speed, which was really good.
It's funny how this movie and Home Alone were like 2 years apart, and then like throughout the 90s,
Oh, yeah.
every movie tried to copy both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it had a nice little run there of different things. So, I guess I gotta ask the people who haven't seen this before, what were your thoughts on it?
I have a few nitpicks, but overall, I'd say it lived up to the hype for me. I really enjoyed it.
Damn. Cool.
I mean, for me, it's an action movie. And action movies aren't really my speed. All I can say is I was happy to see the dad from Family Matters was in it.
Yeah, Reginald Val Johnson.
I really liked it. I didn't think I would like it, but I actually liked it.
Yeah. Kind of to Envy's point, like, I feel like you told me a couple times, you don't always watch movies people recommend because they don't live up to the hype that often, don't you?
I mean, that's kind of how it is with books, usually, for me, yeah.
I mean, it's just for so many years you hear that, Die Hard I enjoyed, but like, you always hear these people say for certain movies that they're near perfect or they're classics, and you're always afraid, am I just being a hipster if I don't like it or if I don't think it's as good? Like, there's rare occasions where I saw Terminator 2, I was afraid I was going to hate that movie, and I ended up loving it. It's one of my favorite action movies ever, so I don't know if I go that.
Another one of those, like, really good movies that came out right in that span you were talking about with the Die Hard, Home Alone kind of era, because that was like 91, I think.
Yeah.
What you were saying?
But I'm just saying, like, for this movie, I still think, like, overall, yeah, obviously there's outdated technology because it was made in 88, excuse me, but
I think
it still
for the
holds
time,
up. The action, the action still holds up. Like, you could still show this movie today, and it still holds up really well to modern blockbusters.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, the only thing that could, like, really change it at all or switch up what might happen would maybe be cell phones. But you can say that about, like, almost any movie after cell phones were invented. But even then, I don't know that much would have changed with the cell phones. I think the timeline of the movie just would have sped up a little bit as you get to the air quote terrorist, really thieves trying to get into the vault a little bit faster.
I mean, they would just basically the first thing they would do would be to take everybody's cell phones when they
everybody. True, but John McClane would have a cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So
They
he'd
would
be
find his
calling
info so
immediately.
easy. It's like, oh, let me pull up his Facebook.
Yeah, that's probably the other thing. They get to Holly super quick. Yeah, there's another action movie, Commando, that like would have been a completely different movie had cell phones happened, but it's still pretty enjoyable. At least I think so. Might be on the list because I really doubt any of you have seen it.
Nope.
But more to this action movie. So we got two people who enjoyed it. One, you thought it was okay, or just wasn't your speed?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fine movie. It's just, obviously, yeah, it's not my speed. It's not generally a genre I gravitate towards, so... I mean, again, it's sort of, like, subjective for me. I mean, it's probably, like, a fine movie otherwise, so...
Yeah, well... So, what did you guys, I guess, like, what was your favorite part, or what were you really, like, really hit you guys with it? I've seen this, like, so many times that I'm, like, I don't know what I say that hasn't been said, like, 100 times, or, like, what kind of trivia I can bring up or something that's gonna, like, improve the experience at all at this point.
I mean, in all honesty, it's easier for me to list my few negatives of this movie rather than list all the positives, because other than the few negatives, I think everything else is really well. I mean, John McClane, he's not your typical action hero. It made it so compelling back then. He was just a regular cop trying to go up against fucking Alec Rickman and probably his second most famous character of all time.
Fuck you. That's his most famous role, Hans Gruber.
Snape.
No, Hans Gruber.
People would argue
What
about
got him
that.
famous?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Isn't that what got him famous? Is his Hans
This was
Gruber
his first role on film.
Yeah. Oh, his
Really?
very
Wow.
first
His
one.
very
Wow.
first role on film. He was like a stage actor beforehand, and this was
I mean,
like
that makes sense.
kind of after this movie. That's when you started seeing it happen a lot more, where you have like because before that, in like your Rambos or your Commandos or name an Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone action movie, the heavy was usually just some random dude or like some other big buff guy. But then they're like, we're gonna go in a different direction. We're gonna have like a smarter, smoother villain, and excuse me. Yeah, so they got a stage actor. Rickman got the part. He killed it many times over. And then after that, you start to see a bit of a trend leaning towards that a little bit more of the smarter, more interesting and complicated like side of villains in a lot of action movies, where they're not necessarily just like some buff dude that's gonna beat up the other guy. They're outthinking people a lot more. So you see like John Lithgow in it was the Stallone movie. What was it? I think it was Cliffhanger, I want to say. If I'm wrong, someone's gonna might correct me in the comments. But then you also have like in a later Die Hard movie, Die Hard with a Vengeance, you had Jeremy Irons, who has played a bunch of really good stuff, and he goes on to play the villain in that movie. Those are the two that like immediately stand out off the top of my head, but there's probably been others.
Well, like even Bruce Willis, I remember I was doing IMDb trivia after the movie. He wasn't a big star. He was like a TV star, but
this was his breakout role. He was like on a TV comedy before that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't he like on Moonlighting?
Mm-hmm. It was on Moonlighting. And I think originally the movie, the studio kind of like cut the budget or did something. They were kind of like, well, we can't, no, you know what it was? They didn't put him on the poster. It was, the poster was just the explosion at the top of Nakatomi Tower. Because they didn't think that he was going to be bankable. And that if they saw Bruce Willis on the poster, people were going to be like, oh, that guy from Moonlighting? I'm not going to watch that action movie with him. Cut to how many years later. They were wrong. I kind of think they might have done the same thing with Batman in 1989, because there was a lot of people who like Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, yeah.
We look at some of the posters, they don't include him. They're mostly like the bat symbol or whatever else is going on. And they like include the names in that, but they don't show his face. Like even in the cowl and that. So
It's association.
Yeah.
It's purely association.
But yeah, no, this launched Bruce Willis's career. This launched Alan Rickman's film career. And I'm trying to think if there was like anyone else. Like, I think Reginald Val Johnson gets Family Matters after this, so I'm going to count that for him as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, this was late 80s. I'm pretty sure Family Matters didn't come out till like the 90s.
It was late 80s or early 90s, somewhere around there. I was always kind of wondering if, like, at some point he was just going to, like, go full cop and just shoot Steve Urkel. You kind of look at him in this movie, you could be like,
yeah.
I mean, you can see where he was coming from, where he transitioned into that.
Yeah, it was like, did I do that?
No, yeah, I think, like, yeah. He's really fun. Oh, you know who else? I'm trying to think of how many 80s movies you guys would have seen. There's like a bunch of people. Well, not a bunch, but like a couple people who just have been in a number of other things. I know one of the Agent Johnsons. No, the other one. He was in some stuff.
Paul Gleason? Or no, that's Robinson. My bad. He plays Robinson.
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
Stuff.
Yeah.
He was in The Breakfast Club.
No, yeah, that was the other guy I was going to mention. He was the principal who has only ever played that character ever. But yeah, no, I definitely saw the white Agent Johnson and some other stuff. I'm trying to think who else. I think for the longest time I thought one of the terrorists was Huey Lewis, but I mean, he kind of looks like him.
Like the musician?
Yes. Like, you look at the guy who took over the front desk, and you look at Huey Lewis, and you're kind of like, okay, I could see that.
Okay.
Like, look him up.
Yeah, you're right. It just kind of looked like him.
Yeah. God, like, I feel like everyone really, like, swung for the fences and landed it in this one.
I mean, Hans Gruber, like, he was like Alan Rickman. Like, you're right. He's one of the greatest action villains. Like, he's just the amount of screen time he has, the amount of personality, charm, terror, like everything.
I really gotta give him points because, like, I don't know that he ever did another action movie or anything else. He basically scored 8 home runs in this movie and was like, well, I'm retiring from action films. I don't have to do anything else. I'm Hans Gruber.
I think that's just kind of the whole thing is, like, I think because he opened up for, like, that, you know, sinister, conniving, sort of suave, sort of villain archetype, that I feel like it just was sort of, kind of led to him doing a lot of other things, because that sort of archetype works, like, very well, but it's more readily suited, I think, to anything outside of action movies, or at least that's what a lot of people use it for, more or less.
You know, I'm actually kind of thinking, I think what he's doing is playing a Bond villain.
Oh!
But I don't know that
good point.
At that point we had seen that in an American film. Like, we had mostly seen that relegated to the Bond villains kind of... Yeah, no, he just kind of brought that to audiences in America, despite the fact that Bond films were shown in America for a very long time. I don't know why people didn't think about this before.
Well, I feel like America has a certain vision of action.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, especially, like, from the early to late 80s. The whole 80s era was just muscly, sweaty mountains of men.
I
Very
think,
homoerotic.
like, especially, I think the sort of actors that they were getting at the time for those sorts of movies, like Sylvester Stallone and just a lot of other actors, I feel like they just sort of filled that kind of archetype, and I feel like that became, like, the American ideal for what, like, an action star and for, like, what an action movie should look like for an American audience.
Oh, absolutely.
Whereas this was more playing into, like, oh, we're going to try something a little different with this. We're not, and it probably has a lot to do with the writing and Rickman's portrayal for this character as well. Because if they had gotten a different actor and the actor had played the role, like, a little bit differently but with the same lines, it could have definitely, like, been a lot more like a typical American action movie.
Yeah, are you talking, like, if they had gotten the traditional, like, big buff guy or something who, like...
Yeah, if they had gotten, like, the Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'm trying to think, like,
if they're going for someone with a German accent, that would have been the person to go with.
I'm trying to think, because it's kind of, you mentioned, like, Stallone and Schwarzenegger, all that sort of stuff, and, like, Schwarzenegger as a villain, he's never played one, really, except...
Terminator.
Okay, yeah, that one, but he's also not really, like, a person. And also he had, like,
but still,
six other movies.
An antagonist.
He was
in a sense.
6 other movies where he plays the hero as the same character.
Yeah.
But, like, it's interesting because, like, around in the same number of years, Rocky IV, which is a hilarious and kind of wonderful movie despite being not a great movie necessarily.
Oh, yeah, it's pure...
Oh, you seen that one?
I've seen every Rocky movie.
Oh, wonderful. We're gonna have to do that them at some point. I think at some point there were some kind of talks about Schwarzenegger being Drago. But at that time, like, that would have been really cool to see Stallone and Schwarzenegger fight, but yeah,
well,
I don't
considering
think...
the fact they hated each other in real life for years.
Oh yeah, they were never going to be on screen. They were competition for each other constantly, so that got us God, what's his name? Dolph Lundgren. And he's also, like, kind of... He has 6 lines in the movie, and yet he's, like, still a pretty damn good villain.
I mean,
like, he might be one of the best sports villains.
I mean, considering the act that he did in the first third of the movie. I won't say what it is.
Plus, like, some of his lines, like, I must break you. I think we're just going through, like, every one of my favorite villains from like, 80s and 90s movies.
But, like, you had Hans Gruber, who's, like, a charismatic villain, where, like, yeah, obviously you don't agree with him, but, like, you could see yourself following him. And then you have John McClane, who's your everyman. He's a regular cop who's in a bad relationship or, like, a deteriorating relationship. He just wants to see his wife and kids for Christmas, and then he ends up going and at the wrong place at the wrong time. And it just...
Oh, yeah, that's his whole life.
Yeah, like the ingenuity. Like, yeah, can you say some of it's kind of far-fetched, but, like, a lot of it, you know, it's using your resources. Like the scene where he's, like, the famous, well, one of the famous scenes where he uses the hose as, like,
fire
a
hose,
grapple. Yeah, to like, will that work in real life? I don't know if Miss Butters ever did that, but it's cool.
I'm trying to remember. Like, I'm sure, like... I think part of it depends on how well the joints hold up when the fire hose gets pulled, and, like, gets that sudden snap of weight. But the roof was also blowing up, so.
And going into the movie, I knew a lot of the moments in the film, like the famous scene where he has to run on the broken glass barefoot.
Oh.
I never knew why he was barefoot, and I have to admit the reasoning behind it was kind of stupid. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, like, otherwise you don't get that. That's like kind of, it's one of those. I recently rewatched this with my brother because he's also a big fan, and like, as soon as he saw that guy on the plane, he's like, man, fuck that guy. Like, he's the one who caused trouble. But here's the thing. I like that sort of thing. I like the little details that add up to much bigger things as you keep going. Because, like, it's sort of like in Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie. Why didn't they just shoot at the escape pod? It's an escape pod, so what, you're not seeing life forms on it? It got launched by something. But they don't shoot it, and if they hadn't, the rebels die. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, or, I don't know, they tracked the Millennium Falcon back to Yavin, so... Yeah, maybe it just takes longer. I don't really know what happens if R2-D2 doesn't hook up with Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan. It's an interesting butterfly effect kind of thing. But yeah, no, it's one of those little things, and I think there's a couple other parts of the movie that kind of include that a little bit.
Like when he tries to put on, God, I can't remember his name, but the dude with the blonde hair and the glasses who dies.
Yeah,
the first,
Carl's
like,
brother.
guy he
It's
kills.
just Carl's brother.
Yeah, Carl's brother.
We know who Carl is. Carl's fantastic.
Yeah, and he mentions, he's like, man, this, out of all the terrorists, like, I meet, and, this one has smaller feet than my sister.
Yeah. He's like 6'5", and he wears a size 7. How does that happen? I actually kind of like they only get like one scene together, but again, watching this with my brother and watching Carl and his brother together in the movie, like the brother is like getting the alarm codes to make sure that they don't go out to the police and that real quick, and then Carl just comes in with a chainsaw while he's working and just cuts all the lines. He's like, don't, I'm in the middle of this. I'm like, yeah, that's a perfect example of a brother relationship. Like, I guarantee you. I mean, you guys have siblings. You ever just gone into your sibling's room for absolutely no reason, said nothing, and just fart and then leave?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Not that exactly.
There
but
we go. We got
I've
one.
definitely done stuff with the same sentiment.
There. Yeah. I kind of love that.
I go into my brother's room all the time just to like stand there.
Well, wait. Didn't we do the one thing after that party? Because he had the light bulb that was connected to your Wi-Fi, so we just kept like turning it on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
No, I love that. Trying to think of like the other little detail.
Well, the
type
fact
things.
that like he has that I forget his name, but that limo driver that's like his first day on the
Argyle.
job. He comes back to
Argyle.
save the day at the end of the day or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that he would have been able to get out of there anyway. Like, after things start going down, he doesn't really notice it because he's got all the things on. But then after it starts getting picked up and all the police are there, he's not leaving.
Yeah, no.
What I'm actually thinking of is the cigarettes, because, like, I think there was this thing, like, for a while, like, you like, first off, compliments to Hans again, thinking on his feet and just throwing on a random American accent whenever he meets the guy he doesn't know with a machine gun.
Yeah.
But, you know, people are like, oh, did John immediately know that it was Hans or whatever else? And he's, like, looking at the names behind him, and he's like, so who are you, and what department were you with? He's like, Elliot Clay, and I'm like, oh, Elliot Clay is a person. But I think what people don't always notice, John figures it out when he smokes the cigarette. Because earlier in the movie, when he takes all of Carl's brother's stuff, he takes a pack of cigarettes and he smokes it. He's like, oh, this is terrible. Like, this is a really strong or whatever. But when Hans smokes it, he gives it to Hans, he smokes it, he's not bothered by it. He's used to the really strong cigarettes. He's like, okay, he's one of them.
I didn't notice
I didn't
that.
catch that.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
the
catch it.
tiniest thing, but I'm telling you, that's how he figures it out. And that's why he gives him, and he's like, I gotta confirm it, I'm giving him the gun. No bullets!
Yeah.
And then we get the glass scene. Everything leads into something else that's so good in this movie.
There's also like the little things like too where God, I can't remember the douche who worked with Holly and had a thing for her.
Ellis.
Ellis, yeah.
Ellis.
When he mentioned
Nobody
ever
hates it when
Yeah.
Ellis dies.
Yeah, and when he mentions like the Rolex watch
Yep.
and at the beginning, and then like Hans is like holding on to Holly's like
Yeah.
Rolex watch like at the end there before he falls, and it's like, oh, there's the watch.
Yep.
There's where it comes in.
No, yeah, I love it when like some like they set up everything so well and then they tie everything off with a nice neat bow for almost everything in this movie. It's fantastic. Like, and even I gotta say, like, for what is ostensibly just like a regular old like an action movie that you're supposed to just turn your brain off and kind of enjoy it, like they actually really do set up like a good conflict for like John and Holly early on. They only have like one scene together in the beginning, but like I'm really like feeling like I'm watching like two people who've clearly been in the shit for a little while, and they're just like kind of venting at each other. I'm like, I'm almost a little uncomfortable watching. I'm like, this is a little real right now, and I know what's gonna happen, but still, it's like, oh, kind of going there a little bit. But it's good. I don't think, you know, people look at action movies a lot and be like, wow, this is really, really well written. But I feel like this is a really well written movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, since we're talking about, I guess, things that we liked that were well written. I really like the relationship between John and Al.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, and it was so funny at like the end when they saw each other and like they were just like looking at each other longingly. I was like, are they gonna kiss?
Oh come on, he just got
I
back
mean-
with his wife.
I
Maybe
know, I
late.
know. It's a joke, but I just thought it was very funny because they were just so like I don't know, like close at that point. It seemed like
yeah.
even though
I
they
mean,
never
he's the
met each
only
other.
cop / law enforcement in the movie that's not an asshole or an idiot and or
Oh, yeah.
both.
Oh yeah.
Like the FBI guy, okay, I can maybe understand a little bit not wanting to trust him in the beginning, but then
Which FBI guy? Agent Johnson or Agent Johnson?
the one that first came in right after
Oh
Al,
no, that's the he's like a lieutenant or a captain. He's just like a higher ranking officer.
Yeah, sorry,
in the
you're right.
LAPD.
You're right. With the LAPD, when the FBI's guys came in and they were like fucking Vietnam veterans or something like that, and they were like using
One of them
the
was.
thing. Yeah, like they were like that was like the biggest part of the movie I didn't like, where that whole sequence where like they were like going up on the roof like about to shoot people, and it was just like, what am I watching?
I mean, that's the FBI's terrorist playbook. They cut the power, sweat them out, and then they try to ambush them. And they're like, hey, 20%, 25% casualties. I can live with that. You shouldn't. That's terrible. That's like 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 hostages are going to die. There's a lot of people. That's not good. I think, had they not blown up, they might have gotten demoted. But I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, we don't really see a whole lot of the office people other than Ellis and Holly and Takagi, who, I gotta say, Takagi was pretty cool for, like, someone who had, like, 2 scenes. I like Takagi.
I swear that actor's familiar. I swear I've seen.
Oh, he's been in some
something
stuff.
before.
He's been in some stuff, but actually, you know what? We might as well, like, I'm gonna look him up real quick because, like, we might as well say some stuff while we're giving everybody else the treatment.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that this movie has like the seal of approval overall.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But the important question is it a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Oh, it's absolutely
Yes.
a Christmas movie.
It's not a traditional Christmas movie, but I was thinking about this week after I watched it. It's a Wonderful Life. It's shown every year at Christmas, and think about it, Christmas is not addressed in that movie until like the last third, when it gets into like the the whole wishing you never existed part. But even then, it's not like Christmas is a major theme. It's not like that story could have taken place at any time of the year. But Die Hard, there's so many references. It's the setting of the movie, and if it wasn't for Christmas, you wouldn't have had that extra wrapping and tape that John would have used for that gun at the end to
There
kill
are so
Hans
many
Gruber.
Christmas elements here. I'm looking up the guy who played Takagi was James Shigeki or Shigeta, and I'm looking at his movies. I don't know that there would be here like a whole lot here that you would recognize. He was in movies for a while, but it's a lot of older stuff. I don't know how much you would have seen. He's actually from Hawaii, so. What were you saying? I think I got stuck on that for a second.
No, just why I believe that it's a Christmas movie. It's not a traditional Christmas movie, but like It's a Wonderful Life. I was saying like the movie only references Christmas in the last third, and even then, it's not like Christmas is a major thing. It could have taken place in any time of the year.
Yeah, true. And I mean, you could make the argument that this could happen any time of the year, but it's so wrapped up in like other elements of Christmas. Christmas was part of the reason that it was happening tonight. The Christmas party meant that the building was basically empty and there would be minimal security, for one thing. They knew a lot of people were going to be off, and like including law enforcement were going to be off for that night, and people were going to be drunk and kind of off their game, so they could just walk in and take over very easily. Like, also, if it wasn't Christmas,
reason why.
What's that?
That's why McClane was back, right?
That was why
He was visiting for
he went
Christmas.
to L.A. Well, I mean, he wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't back. He's from New York,
Yeah,
and they
not
were in
back.
New York, and she was out
But
there.
he went.
Yeah, he went out.
Yes.
And you like kind of think about it. There's themes in here that are very Christmas-like in regards to like, I mean, how many Christmas movies are about a guy trying to get his family back together? That's essentially what
Yep.
this movie is when you really break it down.
Yeah, I mean, Jingle All the Way, same thing.
Yep.
And then isn't Are We There Yet kind of like a Christmas movie as well?
I'm trying to remember. That was the Ice Cube one, right?
I wouldn't watch
Yep.
that one.
I think so. Yeah,
because
no,
I
it was.
remember
It
it
was-
taking place during winter.
Yeah,
And I think they
you're
were
right.
on their way to see their mom for Christmas. And he was driving them there.
You're right, yeah. Do you guys know, like, I know this isn't... It's got a couple songs in here that are, like, so associated with Christmas without being Christmas songs. Like, Let It Snow. No mention of Christmas whatsoever. Ends the movie. Ends this and the second movie, but, like, it's apparently a Christmas song, so this is absolutely a Christmas movie. Also, the score is a variation of the Ode to Joy. Throughout
Yeah,
the whole
I
movie.
noticed that.
Yeah.
I kind of love it.
I did notice that. Also, I mean, at the very beginning when Argyle's like driving, and he puts on "Christmas in Hollis" by Run DMC.
Yeah. It's a
It's
classic.
like,
And
put
I
on some
was-
Christmas music, and he was like, "This is Christmas music."
Yeah,
No, yeah. That's
Bruce
fun.
Willis himself says it's not a Christmas movie. His
Well, he's
words are,
wrong.
"It's not a Christmas movie. It's a Bruce Willis movie," and I don't know why those are mutually exclusive.
He got a little egotistic as he kept going.
A little. A little.
Yeah. No, I think part of it is this doesn't have to be a Christmas movie, but I think it benefits way more from being a Christmas movie. Like if it hadn't, like I think there's a number of things where we could be like, well, had this been a little bit different, or they done this a different way, this movie doesn't become as big as it was and is. And I think a little bit the Christmas thing. I think if it hadn't happened at Christmas, hadn't been a Christmas movie, I don't know that it would have been near as good as it was. It'd still be good, but I don't know if it would have been as good.
I mean, there's not really much of a motivator to get him out to LA for the story to begin in the first place without it being a Christmas movie.
Exactly.
Because, like, why else would he be in that building specifically if not for, like, some sort of event? Because
Yeah.
why else would you fly all the way out, all the way across the country to go see your wife who you're kind of on the outs with at this point?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, go to her place of work for what reason? Like, what
Yeah,
kind of company function would you be needing to go there for?
The company thing is the biggest part of it, because I'm like trying to think, you could come out for other major holidays. You could come out for like 4th of July or Thanksgiving, maybe New
Yeah.
Year's or something. There's a
Birthday
couple
even. Those kids were
holidays.
young.
Birthdays, yeah, but like there's only a couple like holidays that are like, oh, I'm gonna travel all the way across the country to see my family for this specific holiday. And Christmas and Christmas office parties are like the only ones where I'm like, okay, you're gonna be there. Thanksgiving, you're going to the house. You're not going
Yeah.
to the Nakatomi. Or 4th of July, you're going to someone's backyard. You're not going to Nakatomi. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe New Year's, but does New Year's and Christmas are basically the same thing, except New Year's is Christmas's drunk uncle, basically. So, you know, I don't think things are as packful if it's a New Year's party. You know, Envy, you were talking a little bit like you had some nitpicks. I kind of want to hear what some of those are. See if I can explain them away.
Well, I mentioned one of them, the idiot police. Pretty much anybody that wasn't the guy from Family Matters is an idiot
Yeah.
or an asshole in the movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. Like, a part of me wanted to turn my brain off and say, "Oh, this is an action movie." You know, people are idiots in action movies. But then this movie's trying to be grounded. This movie's trying to be more realistic than like something Arnie and Sylvester would do. So like,
Yeah.
especially okay, with the police lieutenant or captain or whatever he was,
Yeah.
I could maybe understand his trepidation, especially when John McCain literally blew up the building. So maybe I can understand that. But the FBI guys, they kind of they kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it didn't ruin the movie for me. It was just kind of like one of those, did that need to happen?
I kind of wonder if maybe that's a bit of a trope, because I feel like there's always this thing of like, usually in like the action movies, if it's like a cop or something who's the hero, you usually see them as like the local guy who understands what's going on, and there's always like the feds who come in to take over the case, but they're not aware of what's going on because they're not there all the time.
But then there's also the matter of, if it's the feds coming in to check out a crime scene or take over a case, the local guys are always the ones who are, kind of being a bit antagonistic. So it's kind of like a give and take depending on what perspective you're looking at, and that's with any kind of media. Think X-Files for starters.
Yeah, but but for here, we're on the side of the guy who's not even in his jurisdiction, the cop.
Yeah.
So our only guy on the ground is Al, and yeah, he's not well enough respected amongst everybody. So I mean, I do to some degree understand a level of skepticism, but like I feel like it could have been maybe fixed if Principal Asshole, I forget what his name is, if the principal guy actually talked to John McClane on the radio, because like even Al was going like, yeah, no, I think he's a cop. He's like, the way he talks, the way he's talking about all this sort of stuff, he's got like all the information, like he clocked everything about everybody. Like he sounds like a guy who's been on the force. And like had he just talked to him for a minute, he might have been like, okay, no, McClane, you're our guy on the inside. So yeah, maybe that could have been handled a little better, but like I feel like that's always the thing. This is the lone hero kind of thing. The rest of the system doesn't work unless it's working for the bad guys, which it does. Yeah, I'm trying to think about the terrorist team. I mean, we talked plenty about Hans, and I think we've like mentioned a bit about Carl, who definitely got to be one of the best like henchmen, number 2 guys in an action movie.
I got some things to say about the henchmen dudes.
Go off.
Okay, so like there was Carl with his like longish blonde hair. Yeah. And then there was Fritz, who was the one with, like, the long brown hair.
Yep.
And, like, my god, like, I had such gender envy for Fritz. I was like, I was like, yeah, that is what I want to look like. I don't look like that dude.
Vaguely East German terrorist. Definitely one of my favorite genders.
What was the name of the computer hacker? I didn't mind him.
Theo. He's one of those ones who like I've heard some people who really like him and some people who like, kind of think he's annoying. I think he's just the right level of like, I'm putting a lot of personality into this.
I mean, you think about it, he's trying to break into like one of the most secure vaults in the world at this point. Like like anything that could happen could fuck it up. So
and he's still cracking jokes like the 'twas the night before Christmas and all through the house not a creature was stirring except for the SWAT team coming up on the left entrance.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. That cracked me up a little bit.
Like I really like a lot of the and this has to be part of just the actors, but they all play off each other very well. For the most part, like Theo said something about, to get through this, I'm gonna need a miracle. Theo, it is Christmas. It is the time of miracles. Yet another reason this is a Christmas movie. But yeah, like even like it's mostly with Hans. Hans working with anybody is just like, I don't know. He just works off of everybody else's energy, whether he's working with Ellis or Carl or even McClane, and it's like. Well, especially McClane, it has to work. They're the 1 and 2 in this movie. Yeah. Like I kind of like watching him slowly unravel as well. Like he's so calm. He's like he's got a little thing in the beginning. He's got a little speech in his book. He knows everything about everyone. He's complimenting people on their suits, and then by the end, he's just like, "I am an exceptional thief. I'm gonna kill this man." Like slowly watching a man unravel is really fun to watch on film.
Like throughout the film, everything goes wrong. It's like, no, it's on schedule. I expected this, and it's just like, it's like, okay, your plan, if John McClane wasn't there, was to basically fake your own deaths and to steal off with those banknotes. It's like,
Well,
even though this was 1988, I'm pretty sure Interpol would be all over your ass in a couple weeks.
Well, here's the thing. They cut a lot of the security feeds, so it's not really clear on how many terrorists were there. Now, the whole ambulance deal. For as many people who showed up, that ambulance would not have fit everybody. Hans was going to let some of his team die in that explosion.
Oh, yeah.
That was part of his plan. He was going to pull a Dark Knight, the Joker, and the bank heist thing. And he was going to run with a lot of that money, which, I'm going to throw it out there. I don't know I remember someone saying something about it. I don't know the exact...
600 million.
No. But, like, I don't know the thing about the law. They were negotiable bearer bonds. I think it was illegal for Nakatomi Corporation to have that much negotiable bearer bonds at the time. So I would have to double check that, but I think there was like some sort of thing, like there was some sort of trade thing, a law or treaty that I think they might have been violating. So the Nakatomi Corporation is not exactly up to, completely above the board, I don't think. Which might be what put them on Gruber's radar. Because if they have these bearer bonds less than legally, it's possible that maybe the corporation, and working with the police, wouldn't have told them how much they stole. And maybe they could have gotten... They might be like looking for like one thing when they had another thing. I don't know. It's hard to say.
bring this up. We were talking about other Christmas movies beforehand.
Yeah.
They just came out with Princess Switch 3 this year.
Oh yeah, I saw a thing about that. It's a heist movie, right?
One of the things that happen. It is a heist movie. They have to. Fancy star from the Vatican gets stolen, and they have to steal it back from that guy. And they're like, what would happen if we got caught? They can't call the police because then they would have to say, oh, this thing that I stole was stolen from me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
I'm not familiar how that kind of currency works. Like, how would the terrorists even like spend it to become rich? Like how do the stuff even work?
I'm not an expert on this.
Don't you have to like turn it into a bank, and the bank basically like converts it into like money in an account?
Yeah, more or less. They're essentially super large banknotes. Yeah. Not dissimilar to what a dollar is. A dollar doesn't actually have any real value. It's representative of gold or whatever else that you have for your currency thing.
I mean, bonds can accrue, like, interest over time, but don't they usually have, like, a set amount that they're supposed to reach?
Yes. Those bonds have a set amount, but, like, they're bearer bonds, so basically it's they don't have an owner except for the person currently in control of them. Doesn't matter how you got it.
Yeah.
So
they're basically useless.
Nope, they're worth something. It is those bonds were issued by somebody, maybe a country, maybe a corporation, maybe something, but essentially they're worth whatever they're meant to represent. Mm-hmm. And it's whoever owns them, or whoever is holding them, owns them and can use them and exchange them for whatever they need. I 100% believe that, they're not a blank check, but yeah, it's essentially a check with
not blank, but like no recipient.
Yes, with a blank recipient. At least that's my understanding of it. But yeah, you have to know that Hans knew how to transfer them to something he could use more readily.
Never thought you'd be giving an economics lesson at the beginning of this episode.
I'd really have to look it up. But again, I do think that the Nakatomi Corporation might have been doing something illegal. Which is interesting.
I mean, Ellis is a dick, so I wouldn't be surprised.
No, yeah, he's a dick and he does coke, sure, but like... Big time financial crimes, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel any sympathy at all when he died. I was like, good.
You're not supposed to. He is, like, was designed to be the douchiest guy. Like, like, every movie has an Ellis, if it's a Die Hard-esque movie. I don't know, what else is there here we should talk about?
I was gonna ask where y'all watched it at.
At my brother's place. Or do you mean
I
for, like, the
bought it.
first time or something?
What?
Like, I rented it on YouTube.
We had it on DVD.
And
On
this is the
demand.
first time you watched it? You had access this whole time, my god.
I mean, they do have a lot of DVDs in their basement.
Yeah, I can see that wall.
Yeah.
I mean, I've owned movies before that I haven't even seen, so...
Oh yeah, I haven't seen half the movies I own.
I haven't read
Yeah.
half the books I own.
Same.
Well, looks like we all have our lists.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do.
Trying to think here.
Do you how about this? I know the fifth one's terrible. That came out in 2015 or 2013. Do you recommend the other 4 sequels? Or 3 sequels?
I mean, there's 3 sequels. The fourth one was it. Yeah. I mean, this is the best one, hands down. Die Hard 2, pretty good. It's pretty much the same movie, just, you know, some different locations, couple different characters. Die Hard with a Vengeance is probably the second best movie, which is the third one. That's the one with Jeremy Irons.
Is that the one with Samuel L. Jackson, too?
Yes, it is. Live Free or Die Hard is okay, I guess. It's a little more modern and not in the best way. John McClane starts to become a superhero at that point. He kind of stops being the everyman who's just kind of like working with what he has to work with. He drives a truck into a helicopter.
So basically, they did what they did with the Fast and the Furious films, where they started off street level and then they become superheroes. And
Not to that same degree, but yes. And then the Good Day to Die Hard or whatever it was. Yeah, he's basically immortal. And it's kind of like, what are the stakes anymore, and why are we here? I think the Fast and the Furious has done a decent job of transitioning from, oh, this is kind of realistic, to, oh, this is just straight up stupid, and I'm having a great time. Like, that is one of those movies where you're just like, well, fuck it. I'm not thinking at all anymore, and I don't care.
Yeah, sometimes for movies you just kind of want to turn your brain off.
That is definitely the later Fast and the Furious movies. It's kind of amazing that franchise has not had, like, sequel fatigue.
I haven't
I
seen a
think-
single one of those films either.
Maybe it's just
Really?
the fact that... So, maybe they're, like, taking it along, like, the storyline just, like, through his life events to the point that it could kind of still all sort of be the same thing, but they're changing it up enough that it seems like it's still going. It's still, like, a continuous story.
For what, Die Hard or Fast and the Furious?
Fast and Furious.
Oh yeah, no, it's all the same people. It's a constantly continuing thing, but you know, it's just what's going to be our cartoonishly ridiculous scenario next kind of deal. I think the last
I
one
mean,
they drove cars in space.
Yes, they literally went to space.
Yeah. Sky is no longer the limit.
Some people
New
are saying that.
heights.
I mean, many people online are saying they should just cross over with other Universal properties. So, like, them
They
meeting
talk
up
about
with Transformers,
Yeah.
Transformers or Jurassic Park, or I'd say why not? Vin Diesel
know-
driving a like one of his cars fighting the T-Rex. It's like, we're family.
You know, you could do both. Just do the Transformers and you can have the Dinobots in there. Optimus has a bit of that, like, I'm the leader, we're all family kind of deal, too. I think they would get along pretty well. I don't know, maybe the Fast and the Furious crew get, like, injected with nanobots or something, and they become cars. And that's how we tie it into Pixar.
Oh no.
Cars universe stuff.
You're goddamn right. The Cars universe is the natural conclusion of the Fast and the Furious franchise.
I mean, they're
Lightning
supposed to make
McQueen.
2 more, so
Lightning
Fast and
McQueen
Furious.
is Paul Walker's great grand car. You know it's true.
This is like a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure type deal, I see.
Yep. Plus, they transform into dinosaurs.
I felt bad a couple weeks ago for saying I want to see Sora's Car-Sona from Kingdom Hearts. Why didn't they give us a Cars world? But I feel a lot better after you just said that sentence.
So you don't need to see everyone as a car now?
No.
Well, glad I could help you with that. Trying to think of anything else. You guys think of anything else you want to talk about Die Hard?
No.
No.
Okay.
I'm just curious in the most uninterested way about the sequels. Like, are they still John McClane?
Yeah, he's in all of them.
I'm having a hard time thinking about what the movies could be about.
I know in the third one, like, isn't it like Han's brothers coming for revenge or something like that?
Well, that's a bit of a spoiler, but yes.
Oh, I thought that was like, oh, well, I thought he was like the villain throughout the whole movie, so.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's a different villain every time.
Huh.
Every single movie is just him in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he has to do something. There is never like a
feels like
moment
it'd be
where
the
it's like,
same
I'm
story.
seeking this out.
It feels like it would be the same story multiple times.
Yeah.
It more or
even-
less is, but like a lot of the details do change enough that I'm kind of like, I won't say that. The only one that's kind of a rehash is the second one, because they have a lot of similar elements. But like past that, I don't think any of them are too similar. It's just their varying degrees of quality. Yeah.
Also, like, how often does this guy run into terrorists? Is that
At least once a
recurring
year.
problem for him? Okay.
Once a year, you know, because I think Die Hard 2, which I think was called Die Harder, or at least it was supposed to be for a little while. It's literally 1 year after this, and they're terrorists in an airport.
Oh.
So Die Hard literally made Die Hard in an airport.
No.
What year was this?
Yeah. When was Die Hard 2? Dang.
Didn't it come out like a couple years after the original?
I forget how long, but it's set like 1 year post.
I'm gonna look it up. It was 1990.
Yeah.
Okay.
90. Okay.
So like
I think
2
our
years
generation's
after.
a little traumatized.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
Oh, there's one thing I thought was funny that I wanted to bring up. So whenever I thought it was like clever, well, not clever, more so like cute, I guess, how when John had to give up gave a fake name, like over the radio, he said Roy because like he had made the
Roy
comment
Rogers.
that he was Roy Rogers, yeah.
I do. I
Yeah.
actually. I don't know if I told you guys this. I was at AMC. Does every year like an Oscar screening nights where they show the Best Picture nominees, and I was there 1 year for one of them. And between the movies, they were just doing little trivia things. They were giving out these like tiny plastic trophies, and they were like, "Why does John McClane like Roy Rogers or prefer Roy Rogers as an actor?" And I was the only person to remember because he liked the sequin shirts.
Yeah.
So I got a thing for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's a good fucking catchphrase, isn't it?
Yeah. I had heard it before and I didn't realize it was from this.
Same.
It's like so off the cuff. It's like, all right, Mr. Cowboy. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. They kind of ruin it later on, but in this movie, it's great. This movie's just great. Feels good to talk about this. We should, like, I'm wondering if, like, at some point we should do more of these. I keep mentioning, like, I gotta put stuff on a list for movies I gotta make you people watch.
Yeah.
Why
knows,
don't
maybe
we
you guys
just
have
make
some-
that? Why don't we just make that like a separate segment on the channel, and like maybe once a month we talk about like just a movie that's on the list that you want us to see.
We're gonna be going through these things pretty slow, but I'd absolutely be down for that. Maybe we can figure out in
Hey.
the coming year some sort of thing for that then.
I mean, it's maybe we just turn it into a movie club.
Yeah, no, yeah.
This
Well-
is our assigned watching for the month.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's not so hard to just watch one movie, so.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's like a couple of hours.
Well,
I mean, after we watched The Fellowship of the Ring, I literally binged the whole extended edition trilogy. So
because the courts are like kind of closed pretty much until January at this point, I have a little bit of time on my hands, so I might end up binging the other 2 extended editions.
Yeah, I might probably watch them at some point.
because I like Two Towers and
Year's.
Return of the King a lot more than The Fellowship.
Yeah, I think I liked a lot of moments in the second and third one a little bit more as well.
So I think for me, and I'm like in the middle of the books. Like I just finished up Two Towers.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that as far as like how the books are written, I will definitely say book 2 has like at least like more decent pacing, because book 1 does take a little bit longer to like actually get into it.
I think we kind of mentioned that last week, that a lot of it is like world building and like setup.
Oh yeah, and Tolkien does not skimp out on the descriptors for anything.
Oh,
He's a
no.
great world builder. I'll give him that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he
No,
made his own freaking language.
That's not what I mean. I mean, he literally goes and describes everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't need that amount of detail.
Don't touch the Silmarillion.
No.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
plan on it. But
You-
it's
have you
just
read-
one of those...
Have you read The Hobbit?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that one's. I mean, it's a kid's book, but it's a little lighter.
Oh, it took me so long to get through that damn thing.
The Hobbit?
Isn't it relatively short?
It is
Yeah.
short, but again, the descriptors. My
I
brain
liked it.
doesn't enjoy, like, long paragraphs, and I think it's too wordy for me.
Okay.
My brain just, honestly, like, a lot of times, like, I had to actually throw on the audiobook while I was trying to read it, because I kept stopping, like, mid-paragraph, because I'm just like, brain is tired. It was just one of those things.
I kind of want to force you to read the Silmarillion now just to see what happens.
I mean, I'll probably listen to it. Listening to them is not bad.
It's
just-
like it's a textbook.
I will probably not finish it then. Mostly just because I can't. Especially if it's like homework assignments. I hate that.
Oh no, I'm not going to give you a homework assignment other than a couple of movies every month.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll have to see about doing that sometime next year, and maybe make it a thing, maybe not. Maybe people like it, maybe they don't. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out next time. Oh crap! We didn't say what we were figure out what we were
People
going
are
to do.
here
for-
like,
for
I gave you
next.
for anime.
Yeah, no. Well, that's probably why we should do it. We can keep
Wait.
this for anime. We can keep something else for movies that I have to get you. I have to actually write down this list I keep mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The metaphysical list is not gonna work.
Like, I have a general sense of what you guys have seen at this point, so I could point to any movie and be like, seen it, not seen it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to actually write some of these down. What should we watch for the beginning of the year?
I know something we could watch.
Go for it.
We've watched most of Satoshi Kon's movies, and Millennium Actress is actually free on YouTube to watch. I've never seen that movie.
I've seen it once. I did enjoy that one. Yeah, we could do that, absolutely. Yeah.
In fact,
Any
that's
objections?
the only one of his films that I haven't seen, so it'd be...
I'm trying to think here. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, if we... Did we do all of his movies already?
We didn't do Paprika. We watched it in college, but...
Okay, so we hit Perfect Blue, We did Tokyo Godfathers. Paranoia Agent was the series. So we haven't watched Paprika for the thing, but we could do that as well. And then Millennium Actress. Yeah, no. If you guys want to, like, do Millennium Actress and Paprika for the first 2 weeks of January and, like, just finish out our Satoshi Kon stuff?
Okay. I don't know what's going on, but okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on.
Hmm.
I'm looking up a thing, because there was another one that he was working on before he died. I'm trying to see if there's been any updates on it.
Was it ever finished?
No, it wasn't. It was called Dreaming Machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to look like a basic plot synopsis. It was like a fantasy adventure kind of thing. It'll be like a road movie for robots. That's a quote from the guy. So I'm hoping like AI. Do you guys remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that, but not that. But yeah, I think they had a bit of like Mappa was. I think they were involved with Madhouse for a little while, and then one of them went to go found Mappa. And I think it's been like kind of kicked around a little bit. There was a Kickstarter thing a while ago. It's been like some random announcements here and there. March 2021, it was announced scenes from the film will be shown in the upcoming French documentary Satoshi Kon, La Machine à Rêver. In Japanese. Okay, so maybe they're not doing anything with it. Yeah, I think people have been like shopping it around trying to see like if they could get like another director to finish it, because he had like a lot of like the storyboarding and stuff done, I think. But yeah, it's one of the films we'll never get to see, unfortunately. Kind of like the Thief and the Cobbler. Do you guys remember that one? It's kind of the basis for Aladdin.
No.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, somebody finished it, but like the original director like passed away in the middle of production, and they never he never actually got to finish it the way he wanted to finish it. So I mean, there's the recobbled edition somewhere where they kind of like take the original storyboards and like cut out the stuff that was added later to kind of get as close to what the original guy wanted, but yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. So yeah, we'll come back with Satoshi Kon stuff, Millennium Actress first, and then probably the week after we do Paprika, and yeah, just going into the new year with a bunch of new stuff. Wait for the new Magia Records season, basically, I guess.
Yep.
All right.
Gotta wait till the spring.
Yeah, spring. When's Tokyo Mew Mew coming out?
Sometime next year.
It's also 2022. They're making an announcement in late February, I believe.
And then Tiger and Bunny is coming out in, I think, April 2022 on Netflix.
We got stuff to look forward to. All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the new year. Alrighty. We'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!